so I'm getting ready for this audition. The morning of the audition, I get a call and I answer, and it's like, "Hey, Stretch, guess where I am?" And so it's this friend of mine who was a model. She was a model for the Ford agency, if you know what the Ford agency is. And I had a bit of a crush on her. And so anyway, that was morning. I was like, "I have no idea, where are you?" And she's like, "I'm in New York, you gotta come see me." And so I'm at the Carlisle, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Stephanie, any other day, and I would be there, but I have an audition this morning." But it's right near so anyway, so I go to this audition, and I was like, "Okay, focus on the audition." Played through my list of excerpts or whatever it was. And then I'm like, "Yes, I get to go see Stephanie." And the conductor, he's like, "Hey, that was great. Why don't you play something else?" And I'm like, "No, okay, absolutely." And so, and I was like, focus, just focus. I hadn't chipped a note at that point. So anyway, I was like, "Well, I haven't played anything on piccolo yet. You want to hear something on pick?" He's like, "That'd be great." So I proceeded to play Bach Christmas Oratorio. I played the B minor Mass. This is all from memory. What else did I play? Probably played the other one. No, the Magnificat. Yeah. Then he's like, "All right, we'll play something else." They hadn't asked for a Ravel piano concerto, so I played that. I don't remember, but anyway, I played for 30 minutes straight. These were 10-minute slots, and so they were getting way behind listening to me. But I played for 30 minutes, and I didn't chip a note the whole time, because the whole time I was thinking, I get to see Stephanie today. And so anyway, if you're looking for a great way to keep your mind for me, it kept me from getting too focused on the audition. I don't have a hard time focusing. I'm a little bit obsessive compulsive. I'm what they call a hard O, you can look it up. Or a pure O, I guess is the correct term. But so I don't have a problem focusing, but I tend to focus too much. So that experience for me actually helped me to relax and just play and focus on, so I wasn't hyper analyzing everything that I was doing. I was just playing. And yeah, it was probably the best audition I ever had in my life. It was perfect. So.
Did you see her after the audition?
What's that?
Did you actually see her after?
Oh yeah, we hung out. So yeah, it was kind of fun. So she sent in her photo and stuff to this guy who was Bachelor Month for Cosmopolitan. They have such a thing, we're used to anyway. And he invited her up to New York. The whole reason she did that was because she knew I was in New York and she'd be able to come see me for free. So yeah, it was. We hung out. I hung out at that guy's apartment. I actually met this guy there, Irv Cohen. And he's like, you have to come over to my house. You have to see my house. And I was like, why would I have to see your house? So he's like, oh, it's right around the corner. It's filled with art. You got to see my art collection. And so Irv Cohen and Stephanie and I, we went around to this guy. And I was like, house? What does he mean house? This is Manhattan, right? No, he meant house. He owned the whole brownstone. Okay. You don't own that much property in New York. So anyway, he slept in Napoleon's bed. Like he had bought Napoleon Bonaparte. He had bought the bed that Napoleon slept in, for whatever the reason, I don't know. But a huge library, completely filled with first editions. He was regularly outbidding the Metropolitan Opera, or not Metropolitan Opera, the Metropolitan Museum for Renaissance art. So he had one of the world's largest collections of Renaissance art. He had a home in Greenwich, Connecticut that had 120 rooms, which were all filled with art. And this was a guy that became a close friend. We hung out, and we would go to concerts together. And right around that time, Martin Gould passed away, and I got invited to the funeral. So, because he was friends with Martin Gould, the composer, if you know that, if you don't know the name. Yeah, it was crazy things happen in New York. Now, here's the kicker. Okay, again, be prepared for crazy stuff like that to happen. I think the reason that we were friends was because I wasn't after his money. I just thought he was a nice guy and we liked hanging out. We had similar interests. And, but I probably should have kept in touch with him after I left. It was pre-internet, right? You know, there really wasn't an internet. And so, there's absolutely no Facebook. That hadn't even been thought of yet. And so, yeah, I think I sort of regret not keeping in touch with him. But not that I would have been put in the will or anything, but who knows?
Maybe you could at least gotten to bed.
We would walk down, like one of the things we did together was we'd walk in Central Park, and he'd be like, oh yeah, I own that. I own that. He's looking at these huge buildings, right? These apartment buildings and stuff. Yeah, blew my mind. But anyway, in music you meet some really wealthy people along the way, while you are dirt poor. So it's just kind of what happens. But any questions? That was the one story I didn't relate, but I wanted to. No?
Actually, I have a question. So you're saying like, find the people that you want their job and go hang out with them. How do you find out where they're hanging out?
Who do you want to? What job do you want?
I don't know.
Okay, so for example, when I went to let's take Omaha for example. No, yeah, Omaha's a good one. So I knew that I would want to meet the principal trumpet player of the orchestra. So I just started working connections until I found somebody who could get me in touch with him. I think I might have just contacted the symphony directly because my wife was going to be working for the symphony. But and then I said, hey, I just want to reach out to your principal trumpet player. Here's my number. Could you have him call me? Because sometimes they don't want to give that information out. I'm going to be moving to town. I play, I've been playing professionally for X number of years, And so I reached out to him, and so the very first thing, I actually drove up to Omaha. I was on my way to my summer gig. I used to do, Des Moines Metro Opera, which wasn't far from Omaha. So on my way to Des Moines, I just drove over to Omaha and played for the principal trumpet player there. And then I thought it might be cool to do a master class at UNO while I was there. So UNO is the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And so I reached out. I couldn't figure out who the trumpet teachers were, so I reached out to the director of the school and I said, hey, I'm going to be coming to the area. I'm working on my doctorate. I'm finishing up my doctorate at Arizona State. I'm AED, but I need to do like master classes and stuff like that. Could I come do a master class for your students? And so I went, gave a master class. About 3 days after the master class, the director of the school calls me up and says, hey, we're thinking about maybe having you teach some of our freshmen. Would you be interested in doing that, like some of our new people? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. 3 or 4 more days go by and they're like, hey, would you be interested in teaching half of the studio? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then like 2 more weeks go by, we'd like you to teach the whole studio. Are you interested? And so I'm like, sure thing. So the reason that they were interested in me, at that time they had 2 teachers, adjunct, who had full-time jobs. One of them was at the military base in town, so could not teach until after 5 o'clock. And the other one was a local high school band director, and also couldn't teach until the evening. So imagine if all of your lessons had to be at 6 o'clock or later. It wasn't a really good experience at that time for those kids, and I had the opportunity, could teach during the day. So it was I wasn't going there to try to take over, you know, I just wanted to do a Masterclass. It just happened to be an opportunity that came out of that. But yeah, like when I moved to Florida, I contacted the principal trumpet player, I contacted a bunch of different people, and said, hey, can I come play for you? You know, I'm never assuming anything. You know, I mean, in Omaha, I was probably the best player in that town while I was there, but it was, but you know, he still had the gig, so you have to show the respect to those people. Now in Florida, principal trumpet player there is great. Rob Smith, do you know Rob Smith? He's fantastic, really good player. He's a bit of a head case, but he's really good. So, anyway, but yeah, so it's just a matter of just, here's your first point of contact, right over here. He'll know, you know, and then it's just, and then you just push until you get the right answer. It takes a little bit of time, but that's kind of how that works. And then if you want to do like the arts admin stuff, look for an internship somewhere. Look for one of the things, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but the local stagehands union, they'll train you how to do a lot of that stuff if you approach them. It's called IATSE. I don't know what IATSE stands for. It's IATSE, IATSE. But that's the International Stagehands Union. In New York City, the stagehands at Carnegie Hall are the highest paid employees of Carnegie Hall. They make more money than the CEO. $500,000 a year. Now, they've been there, the ones that are doing that have been there forever. But it can be really lucrative. It's a pretty cool business. But you know, learning that kind of stuff and the operations side of things, you know, I've learned all of this stuff because my wife has had to learn it. Like backline. Do you know what backline is?
Sure do.
Does anybody else know what backline is? So people that come into town that are performing, they don't bring everything with them. They'll say, okay, I need this board, you know, soundboard. I need this amp. I need this whatever. And then the operations people have to make sure that all of that stuff is rented and brought over for them to use on those performances. So it's one of the main businesses for like guitar centers and stuff like that is providing backline. Like there's the back alley kind of business stuff that you don't know about, that's actually kind of their primary way of making money at some of those stores. But yeah, I spent a lot of time going around trying to find one particular soundboard that somebody needed for their performance. You know, with my wife, it was like, oh my God, they have it in Lincoln. We got to drive down to Lincoln to get this piece of backline. So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that. But like I said, you can get trained on all of that. They don't expect you to come in and know everything. So, but if you have a background in music, you're just so much more likely to get hired. They don't really want to hire somebody that doesn't have a background in music. So, anyway, well, why don't we play? Are you up first?
Yep.
I got a drink of water.
Sure.
While you're doing that, I'm going to get a drink of water.
So backline stuff for jazz festivals is always an adventure.
Is that right?
We don't have many resources out here. So part of my contract negotiations with Terrell Stafford Quintet or the Count Basie Orchestra or the Gordon Goodwin Band is saying, all right, this is what you want. This is what we have. Is that going to be okay? And
yeah,
some people are like, yeah, that's fine. You know, Terrell Stafford's like, yeah, that's going to work. You know, the Gordon Goodwin Fat Band is like, no, we really need this particular electric piano. You know, sometimes artists are endorsed by Yamaha, and so they really need to have a Yamaha drum kit, or those types of special considerations. So, and it's usually, sometimes we'll just write and backline in the contract writer, but sometimes we'll be really specific about what they want exactly for their backline.
Yeah, and the contract writers are a big deal. I can't remember what show it was I was watching recently where they're like, oh, if you're doing this, you got to have a crazy ask. And then oh, it's from Maisel, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's right.
She has like a crazy ask in there. That's a standard industry thing. So it's like, I want blue M&Ms, only blue M&Ms in a bowl. And it's like, so why do you have something like that? It's because they want to make sure that you read to the very end and read every single part of the contract. So they don't necessarily need the blue M&Ms, but it's a way to make, there's always a crazy ask in there, and so that my wife was always digging through to try to find out what it was. One of, I think it was Diana Ross, said that she wanted to be picked up from the airport in a white limousine. If it was a black limousine, she said, I will go back into the airport, I will get on a plane, and I will go home. It will be a white limo, because black limousines are for funerals. So, but yeah, they're very, very specific about that. But yeah, so you get to see some crazy things. I've seen some really crazy things. I've hung out with the Beach Boys. That was kind of cool. They are crazy men. Crazy. Crazy but fun. The one guy was hitting on my wife. And he's like, I'm just kidding, right? I was like, but are you really? But are you really? And he wasn't going to get anywhere with Angela. But it was, but anyway, yeah, you get to see lots of fun things. Okay, so what are you playing?
I'm playing the first and second movement of Jean France's Sonatine.
Great. That's great.
Dr. Hunsicker, if you'd like to stop Xander after the first movement and talk about it, it'd be fine.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that you're doing that I really like, and I want to point them out. One of the dangers of this piece is to play it too short. Because I think every note has a staccato, doesn't it?
Just about.
Right, and so, but staccato does not mean short, it means separated, right? What I try to do, which is what I think you're doing, is I actually am really trying to connect the notes, one to the next. And so what I'm imagining in my head is like a wedge that never gets all the way down to the bottom. So when I'm doing, sorry. Sorry. So you speed it up. It sounds like you're playing a short note, but you never actually play short notes. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, okay, so anyway, but I thought you were doing a really good job. Like, you know, connecting, keeping it from getting too short and pecky. We don't want pecky, and it doesn't sound good. What I would like to hear more of, though, is more of the line. I see a lot of these red markings, and I want to hear more of that, you know? When you have something that says mezzo forte for a long period of time, it's like 12 bars. Do you play the same volume the whole way? No. You adjust the volume as you go. You know, you allow it to ebb and flow, to go up, to come down. And I think you can do a little bit more of that. Even in the piano sections. A piano section might get all the way to forte and still be considered with piano, you know? But it's like, oh, I want to get up to here and then I'm coming back down, you know? That's totally acceptable. But yeah, let's see if I can, I'm going to go over here too, so you see if I hear more. It's a little bit harder to hear in here. But let me hear just from the top is good. How about up to just up to that spot, like the middle of the third line. I'm just going to stand over here to see if I can hear it a little more. Good. All right. Now let me stand there for just a second. If I get it just right, I can see it. No, that's good. It's actually worse if it gets too close. Yeah. I'm at this stage where I have better glasses, I think, over there. But here we go. Who's doing more dynamic contrast? Do you hear it when I'm doing it? It's just hard to tell in this room. So I think more still. I would say get louder, you know, because what I'm hearing is it's kind of all right here. I hear a little bit of intention, but not enough. We are stage actors. You know, TV and movie acting is all about the subtle gestures, right? You know, I'm gonna crinkle my eyes a little bit. I'm gonna turn my head like this. This is not what we do. We're stage actors. This kind of gesture. And what? You're kidding me. Right? You have to get comfortable doing that. Yes, all these. These are all good. You got to get comfortable doing that musically speaking. Much bigger gestures, because otherwise the audience can't really tell what you're trying to do. It's just there's more distance involved, and so it might come across on a recording, but it won't come across in the hall. So yeah, let's do that one more time. Just go for it, like big gestures. I'm not crazy. Big now. Yeah, you see? So that's what I'm hearing anyway. We just wanna make much bigger gestures and kind of get used to doing that. It took me a long time to figure this out. I had a trumpet teacher in high school, Irv Sarin. Irv Sarin was principal trumpeter of the Pittsburgh Symphony a long time ago, under Reiner and then Steinberg. And I remember one lesson very vividly. I don't remember what I was playing, but I remember what he said to me. I played something, and he's like, Hunsicker, you need to do more. Just do more. And then I would do more, what I thought was a lot more. He's like, no, more. And then I was like, okay, like more. He's like, what do I have to do to get you to give me more? And I got pissed, really, really pissed. And I like started blasting, you know. You know, like pow, right into his face. He's like, yes, that, where has that been? And I'm like, that wasn't too much? He's like, no, that was great. There is no such thing as over the top. There's no over the top. It might not be the appropriate thing all the time, but there really is no over the top. You want to get used to making the much bigger gestures. And I know this is one of the lighter movements, but I'm really making a big point of it on this because otherwise it kind of sounds the same the whole time. Even though it's a short movement, it'll get boring. And I was interested for about halfway through. I was like, this is interesting. It's pretty decent playing. I like the connection. I like the skill set. It's very good. There's some really good playing here, but now I'm getting bored, you know? And so that's, we just want to have just a little bit more interesting stuff. You want to go on to the second movement?
Yeah.
Cool. Take that much just for now, because it sounds really beautiful. Just out of curiosity, does anybody else have a mute with them? Do you have another mute with you besides that one?
I do.
Okay, we have a mute. Just a regular straight. No.
I just want to hear what it sounds like. Great, cool. And you got a mute too, is it the same one or is it different?
It's the same. They're about, yeah, they're just, no, they're the exact same.
Steel bottom?
Right.
of those?
Steel bottom Bach? No.
Looks like it has the inverted cone on the
Oh,
bottom.
like the ridge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.